Hi, I'm Nellie Lawson. I work at B&W Rural at Mungindi.
Is there a key strategy for managing FTR in summer fallow?
Quite a large percentage of our country goes under summer residuals, and that goes down directly behind the header where possible. And then after that, we usually can utilise just control with optical spray technology, which has been a wonderful thing for us out here. And that gets a lot of our country under control quickly, even if not all our country goes under residuals.
So, how important is it getting the residuals on? Are you putting them on before rainfall, after harvest, and how important are they?
Yeah, ideally we get it on before any rainfall, and often we'll have a spray rig in the same paddock as a header.
Any examples when you've not got the preems in before it's rained after harvest?
The last 2 wet years have been absolutely wonderful for us and our growers, but with that has come some challenges. One is being able to get those residuals on time, and also we've had quite a lot of flood water over the last 2 years, and with that ridges and things like that, you can see feathertop emerging, but you physically can't get anything down there to target those. That has been probably one of our biggest situations where we get escapees.
So, Nellie, are there particular crops or situations where seed blowouts of FTR typically occur?
Probably the situation is summer fallows. It's really a matter of making sure that after every application that you do have full control of the feathertop plants. It's an evolving weed, and there's no set time that you'll get an emergence. So it's about remaining vigilant all throughout any season and any crop. We've had feathertop emerge in July some years, and sometimes it doesn't. It's late August or September before we start seeing those new germinations coming through.
So, Nellie, is there a particular management program that you try to put in place in cotton to keep a lid on FTR?
Yeah, we utilise residuals highly in our cotton system. We start with a dual gold early July or August, just trying to prevent that early emergence of not only feathertop but resistant barnyard grass is an issue for us here as well, so they're sort of in the same category. And then we follow up with PSBE stomp, and also target any later emergence with the group A's with your Roundup Ready in crop.
So you've got pre-emergent options and you've got good post-emergent options. Do you find that that's enough to lock up the seed set in that crop and you get pretty much 100% seed set control? Or?
Yes, yeah, we've seen a dramatic reduction in our grass weeds in cotton production.
When you have very wet springs as we had in 2020 and 2021, what problems does that cause with Feathertop Rhodes grass?
If you've had a late spring emergence, even though that there are chemistries that will control it, coverage is your main issue. So even if you've done everything right, you can start the fallow with existing populations. The big thing is identifying that, and regardless of what your next step is, whether that's residual control, you have to target any plants that are there.
Starting the fallow with large established FTR, how hard are they to control using knockdown chemistries?
It can be difficult. We've the last 2 summers have been quite mild, which has helped the plants haven't been under stress because we've had such beautiful conditions. that has helped control immensely.
Nellie, just talk to us for a minute about the demonstration site you've been managing over the last 2 years. The objective has been to run the seed bank down and to test grower standard processes and plans with something with a bit extra added egg. What's worked?
Our treatments were flame plus balance, which is our standard residual program in this area. Then we had full rate of Valor. We had Valor plus Dual and 2 litres of Dual on its own. We knew that we wouldn't get the entirety of the summer out of these products, and we didn't. The Dual ran out first, and the Dual Valor was probably just slightly better. Probably got an extra 2 weeks out of it. But after that, we had to, we knew the residuals had run out. We just had to control all grasses that were coming through.
And so your strategy then was to go through with what, a camera sprayer to mop up escapes, or?
Yes, yeah. It was multiple grasses that were coming through, not just Feathertop. With our standard residual program, we're probably spraying 5 to 7% maximum in these countries. In this trial site, it was a bigger area from end of January when those residuals had simply run out. They had done their job, but they had then run out. And it was more like a broadacre spray over those areas, remembering it was a very wet summer, and then we would target the Feathertop with a double knock with the optical spray. So still probably only 5% double knock targeted spray, but those treatment sites had a broadacre boom application first.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that the availability of the camera sprays, the optical sprays, is just making the economics of this and the logistics of this fall into place.
Absolutely. And not only that, we have the ability to use different products which would be far too expensive for our systems in a broadacre boom. But knowing that you're targeting such a small area, you can justify spending the additional money to control those. So the trial site, it was by no means a fail, and we were able to get really good crop competition last winter, and we saw very minimal Feathertop coming through those areas in crop. Unfortunately, we weren't able to continue the planned residual control this summer. We literally had the headers in the paddock as the floodwater was coming across these paddocks, and we just didn't have the ability to get any type of residuals down. So we have just controlled those sites as we have emergence.
Nellie, can you talk to me about the different pre-emergence that you're using?
Yes, we tend to use a lot of flame on our country here, and we have cut back to the lower rate, the 150 ml rate, but it needs to be applied directly after harvest, and you do need to ensure that you've had enough rainfall to make that safe for your next crop. We have seen some issues from flame in both cereals and chickpeas, where you're just not getting that breakdown. The good thing about flame is it's cheap. The bad thing is it does pose a risk.
There's quite a bit of esmetolachlor used, dual gold. So how are you using that? Whereabouts at? Obviously in cotton. Where else?
Obviously in our sorghums. Cotton, sorghum. We some growers will use your dual with summer, but knowing that you're going to get a much smaller control window. But it works very well on Feathertop.
Yeah. So a soxaflutol balance, really good product in chickpea. Are you using it? How is it going on the FTR?
It's a very good product, but with high rainfall, it breaks down faster.
Are you seeing a reduction in spring germinations in crops that you've used balance in compared to those you haven't, or no observation?
That's a tricky question because we've had such high rainfall seasons lately. It has not, our balance applications, particularly in chickpeas, they have not necessarily got us through to harvest, simply due to the amount of rainfall that we've had.
So Nellie, what experiences, good and bad, have you had using tillage to control Feathertop Rhodes grass? When do you think it has a role? When not? What's the experience?
So some growers have used mechanical tillage as control, and it works very well. My only concern is stubble is king for us for our fallow situations, and we've worked very hard on being minimal tillage operations. So it has a fit, but certainly not. It's never going to be our number one control technique.
Have you had any experiences when people have tilled because they've had big established plants? How's that working if you've already got big established plants at the start of the fallow? Is it actually giving you control of those?
Yes, I believe so. And where our tillage has really been utilised are targeting those particularly bad areas, ridges or headlands, not entire paddocks. Because the other thing about tillage is we really don't want to be spreading it through the entire paddock.
Nellie, could you tell us a little bit about the products you're using for double knock?
Yeah, sure. So usually we're going a Glide plus Group A broadacre spray, but only one of those in a season. You can't get two. And then we're following that up with either paraquat, glufosinate or biffo through the weed seekers. And then we've also had some varying results with including Group Gs with that as well. So Sharp and Terrador, Valor, just to improve the efficacy over a broad weed spectrum.
So where you're adding the Group Gs, is that instead of or in addition to paraquat, or?
In addition.
In addition. What do they add? What do they bring to the party?
Sometimes we're seeing better jobs with weeds like fleabane, particularly small fleabane.